Even before I go to the syntax, did you all follow the theoretical explanation about static memory and dynamic memory?
Yes.
Did you all follow this?
Yes.
Have a look at this image also. Did you all follow this memory allocation process? Yes, students, please can you acknowledge whether you have followed or not?
Yes, I'm understood.
This is understood. Okay. Let's go back to the program then. Okay. Now, we are talking about the first method of dynamic memory allocation, that is malloc. Okay. Now, let us first have a look at the syntax. This is the syntax at line number 6. You have to start with a pointer. Okay. You need to write a pointer variable here. Now, this syntax is important. Cast type, malloc, and byte size. Let us forget for time being, we will forget this. There is no need for void and why we typecast it. That is why we try to convert and all. Just have a look at this statement. You understand that cast type is basically talking about the data type. Which type of, what kind of a data you want to store. If you are just trying to store the roll numbers, the cast type will be integer. If I am trying to store the names, what will the cast type be? I am trying to store a name. So the cast type is going to be char. If I am trying to store the percentage of the students, percentage can be in terms of decimals, right? They can be like 79.8, 89.9. So the cast type is going to be float. So you understand that cast type basically is trying to tell you about the data type. That is the type of data you want to store, you want to allocate to a particular variable. Then we have made use of a pointer, we have made use of the keyword malloc. Okay. Malloc means dynamic memory allocation. Now you have told this function, you have told the malloc function that you are trying to store an integer. Say that I just want to store a number. For now, assume I want to store a number. Okay, the number is 10. I want to store 10 in the memory. What is the data type of the number 10?
Int.
Int. Sure of this? So the cast type will be integer. So I have told malloc I am going to store an integer type of a data. But have I told it how many integer data I am storing? I have not mentioned. I just said 10. So 10 means how many bytes will it take? Just a single value, okay? Just 10. It will take 2 bytes. See here, 2 bytes. I have said int. Assume that I have, let me write it in terms of a pointer only. This is the statement. Okay. When you look at this particular value 10 and when you look at the data type, you are sure that looking at this, a single value is there. So it will take 2 bytes. If I would write another statement, if I would write again int b, now it would be total of 4 bytes. Fine. So I have told malloc I want to store 10. So data type cast type is 10. Cast type is integer. The byte size. How much block of memory is required? How much of data do I want to store? I am going to store only the value 10. Just a single value, which means it is going to take 2 bytes. Okay. So how do you specify or how do you write it in programming? There are 2 ways. We are just studying the first one here. Have a look at this particular statement. Okay. I'm sure now you are clear about these two. You know that a variable takes up some memory space and the pointer is also going to take some memory space on the stack. P is a pointer here. I have declared P as a pointer. Have a look at the syntax. We need a pointer variable to point to our malloc function. So we have declared a pointer variable here. This is P. Now, if you look at this statement, the same interpretation is there. First of all, let's have a look at the keyword. Malloc indicates dynamic memory allocation. We need to tell malloc which data type we are storing. So I have told it I'm storing integer type of a value. But I have not told how many integer values I'm storing. Let me tell it. I will say I will just store the value 10. So I will write a particular statement here. Let me write it as t is equal to 10. So now I have told malloc that I'm just going to store one value of the integer. So how much bytes it will take? Can you tell me how much byte this particular statement will take?
2 bytes, ma'am.
2 bytes. So that is what I'm telling here by this particular keyword. Size of, remember, size of is a function. Okay. This function is used when we want to find out how much memory space the data types take up in the computer. So if this particular function size of, the parameter that it takes is the data type. If I write integer, it will return me 2 bytes. If I'm going to write here char, it will give me 1 byte. So currently I have said you allocate the memory space that is required for this, and you just gave me the answer and told me that it is 2 bytes. So what I told you, size of function will return the size of a particular data type. So we said 2 bytes it requires. So if I'm passing the argument as integer, it will allocate 2 bytes of memory. Did you follow this? In the reverse way, you need to think. In the reverse way, okay? I'm directly not telling here 2 bytes, allocate 2 bytes. What I'm telling it is you calculate the memory that is required to store an integer variable, and that will be returned and that much amount of memory will be allocated. An alternate method would be, I will directly specify like this, which means you allocate 2 bytes for integer because integer takes 2 bytes only. Instead of doing that, I am saying you calculate how much of memory space an integer takes and that much memory you allocate. So that is what this size of function is doing. Because if I replace this particular value, no, it will again calculate. If I make this as char, so what I am telling now, you calculate how much memory is required to store a character variable and that much memory you allocate. That much memory you give me, malloc. That is what I am telling. I am not telling it directly. I am telling it to calculate and then allocate. That is the only difference. Otherwise, another possible way would be just specify the size here. But we will tell it to calculate and then tell it to allocate it to the allocate the memory in the heap. Okay. Did you follow this much? Or still,
Yes, ma'am.
Or still there is a confusion? I'll try to come up with some other way of making you understand this.
No, ma'am.
Followed? All of you, I'm waiting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now
Yes,
we'll do a simple thing, okay? Let the statement also be there. We'll go to our Excel sheet. Now, okay, usually what we have done is, we have followed like this. No, see, I have written continuously here. These are the memory blocks. The same thing I have done here in this particular sheet. Only thing is I have kept it side by side. If you are getting confused by this, what we will do is we'll take this off from here. Assume this is the heap. Since you are, maybe you're confused because I'm trying to put them side by side, and this is, say, the memory allocation. Okay. Now, currently you ignore the memory addresses. We will talk about this in the next session. So assume that this is how they are, how the memory is allocated now. Let me clear up all this. Okay, have a look at only this section now here. So we will come to a program. As we always do, whenever a variable is declared, it is going to take up some memory space. Say that I have declared a variable A. Let me put it up in this block here. A takes 2 bytes. Fine. Variables are usually, we declare it here. And here we put the values. Here we put the values. But we have not initialized A to anything. So this is going to be blank. So that is why I have written A inside here. Next statement you have int star p. So this will again go up on the stack. So we will say that let the pointer be here. So the memory address of the pointer now, say these two blocks will consider. So the memory address of p is starting from 1007. Now we come to this statement that is at line number 15. Okay, p is a pointer variable which has already taken up a memory space. The next set of statements, this malloc function, you remember malloc is for dynamic memory allocation. That is what we just tried to split it and made you understand. I have told malloc I need a memory space to store an integer value, and you calculate the number of bytes that is required to store an integer value. So it knows to store an integer value 2 bytes are required. Only thing that you need to understand here is where this particular statement or where this malloc function will allocate the memory, whether it will allocate on stack or whether it will allocate on heap. Can you tell me where it will take up the memory space, whether on stack or whether on heap?
On heap, ma'am.
On heap. See, remember, if you're confused, no, you should remember these keywords. We are talking about dynamic memory allocation. Whenever you come across these keywords, it means the memory will be allocated on the heap. So this is the heap section. So let's say that this particular, I'll write malloc itself here. This particular section is taken up by the malloc function, and it requires again 2 blocks of memory since it is of type integer. Fine. Now I have written another statement here. Have a look at the next statement. P star p is equal to 10. Now before that I had put an arrow mark here so that you people understand, right? I will write it here in the code. Tell me the address of p now. Have a look in the Excel sheet and tell me the address of p.
$1,008, ma'am.
Okay, wait. Let me put it here. Now tell me the address of p.
1007.
1007. Why are you people taking so much time to tell the address of p? You have done this before so many times when we were doing pointers. Next thing, have a look at this statement and tell where malloc function, what is the size, what is the memory address of malloc function?
200, ma'am.
200.
200, ma'am.
200. Okay, fine. It means that p is pointing to this. Okay, how to put an arrow now? You imagine, I'll just highlight it here. Okay, these 2 blocks are related to each other. P is pointing to this malloc. Let me annotate. P is pointing to this malloc function. Fine. Now, recall the definition of a pointer. What is a pointer? Pointer is a special variable which is trying to hold memory addresses. Have I declared P as a pointer here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So what should your variable P hold now? Whose address is it pointing to? Have a look at the statement here.
Address of malloc.
Address of malloc. Correct. So let me replace the value inside this particular P, and I will write the address as 200. Okay, I have written the address. Now, next thing is, we'll come to the statement star P is equal to 10. I have directly written without accepting. We'll do that in tomorrow's class. We'll write a printf statement and take it from the user. So star P is equal to 10. Star indicates the content. Correct? Now, P, what is P? P is pointing to 200. When I say star P, which value gets updated? At which particular address the value 10 is updated? We'll decode it.
Malloc side.
Malloc side. Let me decode it here. Let me write it here. You will be able to answer now. Okay. Star in the bracket I will say 200 is equal to 10. Now have a look at this statement and tell me where 10 is getting updated. 10 is going to get updated at the address here because star indicates the content. Okay, I'm saying content at 200. Star indicates the content. Content at 200 should be equal to 10. So here at the address 200, 10 is going to be updated. Once again, I'll repeat once again. Just when I say P, you will come here. Your cursor will be here. Then when I say star of P, have a look what P is holding. Have a look at its content. Star P is the address 200. So at the address 200, I want to update the value to be equal to 10. Only this much. No extra, nothing. I don't want you to think anything beyond this or anything below this. You have already made use of pointers, you have made use of the addresses. So whenever I asked you the value of star P, P and P, you have told me. The same thing I am implementing here. Now you can ask me whatever confusions you have. Anything that you have not followed, whatever you feel complicated, we'll trace it once again. Followed? All of you, did you follow this?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm getting a feeling that you people have not followed this. Do not hesitate. Go through the set of statements once again. Which is the next class you have?
English.
English, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just tell ma'am that we'll start the class 10 minutes late. You people can go through the set of statements there. We'll finish with this concept so that tomorrow we can start with programming. Today's class, after it ends, you should not have any confusion about dynamic memory allocation. Did you all follow? Shall I repeat everything once again?
No, ma'am.
No? Perfectly understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then you only answer me now. Okay, you make me understand. I have forgotten everything now. Which are the two types of memory allocation methods?
Static and dynamic.
Static and dynamic.
Correct. If you answer all the questions correctly, when the college starts, for the entire class, I'll give some chocolates. If any one of the answer goes wrong, no chocolates. You people give me chocolates. So you tell me, what is static memory allocation?
The variables which we declare, ma'am, they are in the static.
They are in the static. No. Put it in a better
The
way.
memory did not vary, sir. It remains the same.
It remains the same. Okay. Where is static memory allocation? Where does which block? Have a look at this diagram here. In which section does the static memory allocation take place?
Local variables, ma'am.
Local.
Mm-hmm. Local
Permanent storage area.
No. So you people have not understood the concept properly. You're not able to answer. Static memory allocation takes place in the stack. We'll do a thing. We'll repeat the class once again. After English, which class do you have?
Hindi.
Language.
Hindi, ma'am.
Okay, so both the sessions are full today. Let me ask ma'am, English ma'am, if she will give up her class. Okay, we'll start once again, okay, all of you. From the very beginning, I will explain everything. Pay attention to this. Clear all the annotations here. Okay, let's start from the very first thing. All of you, pay attention now properly. I'm repeating everything. Okay, today we are going to talk about your memory allocation method. Fine. Now, when we say memory allocation methods in computer, in your operating system, we have two ways. Okay, there are two ways. Have a look here, I have already written it. You have the static memory allocation method and you have the dynamic memory allocation method. So far, we have been doing programming. You have done C programming also in your previous sem. Now also, up till the pointers, we were doing programming. So all that was coming under your static memory allocation. Okay. Why we say static? Static means something which does not change, which means the memory that is allocated will be fixed. When I say static also in general English, forget computer programming or all these terms. When I just say static, it means something which is fixed and which has no scope of increasing or decreasing again. So, what is the definition of static programming language? Static means, or static memory allocation means the memory that is allocated at the time of program compilation. Now, what is program compilation here? You write your C programs in an editor, there you save it, and then you first compile it. We write GCC program name.c. So that is program compilation. At that time, the memory will be allocated to whatever variables are declared inside the program. Int a array is there, or int x is equal to 10 is there. So int takes 2 bytes. That 2 bytes will be given at the time of compilation. So at the runtime, one example I had taken here, that was of an array. So this statement, you can see that the name of the array is 8, is of type integer, and the size I have said as 10. So altogether, it is going to take up to 20 bytes. 10 elements, 10 into 2 bytes of integer each, which will make it 20 blocks. Now what happens, what is the problem with this static memory allocation is, static memory allocation we don't have that flexibility. You know, when I run the program, I have to enter only 10 elements in the array. If I feel that I want to store more data, I cannot do it. The size has exhausted there. If I feel I want to enter less data, that is fine. But what happens if I enter only 5 elements? Other 5 memory blocks are simply getting wasted because we are not using it. So this is the problem with static memory allocation. Now the next thing is dynamic memory allocation, which we will study now in this chapter. So dynamic memory allocation means you have that flexibility to increase your program, that memory space for that particular program, or you have the flexibility even to decrease. So simply the definition for this dynamic memory allocation process goes as the memory space that is allocated at runtime. Let me write it here. This is at compile time. And this one, for the dynamic memory allocation, this particular thing is at runtime. So the memory space that is allocated at runtime, that is called as dynamic memory allocation. At runtime means what? I wrote the program in the editor, I saved it, I compiled using GCC program name.c. Then when I run it, how do I run it? ./a.out. When I write that statement, the program is getting executed or the program is running. At that time, whatever memory gets allocated, that will be called as a dynamic memory allocation. These two definitions are clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's move ahead. You quickly have a look at the structure here. of your memory allocation process. Okay, how, see, when we talk about computer memory architecture and all, no, we are not studying, like, you have to visualize it. It is just virtually for you to understand this diagram. In actually, this is not how conceptually, I mean, we are trying to understand it. If you try to break open a circuit, this is not how a memory allocation will look. The process is carried out by the operating system. It depends on that architecture. Only for us to understand, we have come up with this diagram here. So in the diagram, you can see we have three sections here. We have stack, heap, and permanent storage area. Let us not bother about permanent storage area and this global and C program instructions. You know what are global variables. We'll concentrate on these two. Now, we will concentrate on stack. Okay. Whatever local variables you make use in your program, or whatever you have, you say you have declared some functions also, all that is put up in this section called as the stack section. Okay. Stack section is that section which is capable of holding all these variables, all the memory functions. Now you tell me, okay, let me make you try to relate it. Have a look at the statement here. Int a of 10. Say I declare another variable int a. Are these local variables? These both? Is it a local variable int a?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you people there in the meeting, or I am speaking to myself? Any problems? Should I stop the session?
No,
Are you people bored? Shall I continue tomorrow? See, if you people are not able to understand, please interrupt and tell. Otherwise, I'm feeling like I'm speaking to my laptop. So, whenever you declare such variables in your main function, I hope at least you remember the categorization of local variables and what are global variables. So, all these will be put up in this stack section. Okay. Now, stack section, we have understood. I showed you this program also. You had a look at this program, and you know that anything which is declared here will be called as a local variables, which are used only for this function, or which would be used only inside this function. They will be called as a local variable. So all these take up the memory space, and the memory space that they take up is your stack. Here I demonstrated that to you. Coming to your heap section. Heap section mainly talks about dynamic memory allocation. Your stack section talks about static memory allocation. Okay. To relate it to you now, we are talking about our heap section, that is our dynamic memory allocation. So you can see here they have written as free memory. Two important differences between this stack and heap are, whenever any memory is allocated, a memory block is allocated from this stack section, it is your computer's responsibility, the operating system's responsibility to clear it out and empty this space again. Okay. Whenever we talk about our heap section, it is the programmer's responsibility to allocate the memory space and to deallocate that memory space. Okay. Now, when we talk about the heap section, or when we talk about dynamic memory allocation process, we have four methods. These are our four methods. And these four methods come under this particular library. They belong to this library. Only the first one we are talking about today, that is malloc. Fine. Now, for this particular malloc function, should I repeat even this particular syntax part?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Remember the syntax, okay? We need a pointer. Cast type, basically you understand it is a data type, integer, float, char. Malloc is the keyword. Byte size, is the number of bytes that you want in the memory. Number of bytes is here. Let me, with this diagram will tell. If I select this, how many bytes of memory is getting allocated now? 2 bytes are getting allocated. The address 200 and 201. If I select this much, now how many bytes are getting allocated? We'll take another to make it all integer. So the number of blocks that are allocated are from 200 to 205. So likewise, I need to tell my malloc function how many bytes it should allocate for me in the heap section. Okay, this dynamic memories always talk about the heap section. All these always talk about the heap section. Now you should be able to identify whenever in the program we write, okay, if we write such variables, they will take up the stack section. It goes on the stack section because they are local variables. Another way to identify it is, you have not made use of the word malloc. You have not made use of any of these keywords here. So they will go up on the stack section. Now P is a pointer variable here, and the pointer requires a memory location. So for that, I put this particular P at this particular location. The starting address is 1007. I had another variable A, and that also I put up at a memory location. The memory address for that is 1005. So this is the memory address. If I remove this, no, stack and heap, you people will get confused because it will look like a continuous memory block. So that is the only way I have split it up and written stack, and this I have written as heap. Now, after this, we came up with this statement. Okay, we came up with this particular statement. P has already been allocated some memory block. Let me write the address of that particular P. Does anyone notice what was the address of P there? It was at the address 1007. Now we have come up to this statement here. Okay, I have this malloc function is dynamic memory allocation. So that will require a memory space on the heap. Say that currently, let me write here as malloc only so that you people can understand. We'll remove this. So this malloc function has also taken up a memory space on the heap, and its starting address is 200. Okay, if you have a look at this statement now, since you have covered the concepts of pointers, you can see that P is a pointer which is pointing to this malloc function. Okay, so let me annotate here. Let me say that P was the pointer which was pointing to our malloc function. Now, P requires a memory space which is allocated. Malloc requires a memory space which is allocated in the respective sections stack and heap. P is a pointer variable. Recall the definition of a pointer variable. Pointer are capable of storing the memory addresses. So P is pointing to this section. So what address will P hold? What address will this pointer hold?
200, ma'am.
So it is going to hold the address here 200. Fine. Now this much is the only concept here of this particular statement.